don't know what to tell you. Day two, obviously we had a lot of mistakes, just putting in a lot of stuff, and kind of woke up toward the end, got a little spirited practice-wise, but at least the guys were into it. So for a day two install and handling the things they had to do, the effort was good. We just got to cut down on the mental errors, and that's pretty much what I told them.
How much have you installed already, Todd, both on defense and offense, like percentage-wise of the playbook?
Probably a good 40% in 2 days. 2 days, it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you go through the meetings of the phases and then you put it together all in 1 or 2 practices, it comes across a lot because you see a lot of different formations and a lot of different blitzes. So it'll take the guys, it's good film work for us to look at and put together some film for the next week so they can see themselves.
Todd, what's your timetable for Stephen Ridley?
It's a good question. To be honest with you, Manish, I don't know. As they're monitoring that, and we got to see he's running straight ahead, but cutting and doing everything that he needs to do. Until I can start seeing some of that, I probably can give you a better answer, but right now it's week by week and it kind of go as you go. Hopefully he'll be ready for training camp, and we'll see how it goes, though.
Who's your third guy if he isn't ready by the start of camp?
Well, we still got one on the team. We still got Richardson, and obviously if we don't have one, we'll try to get one draft or free agency, or there's still free agents out there, but we'll make sure we have numbers going in. I can't tell you who the third guy is right now because nobody's there.
Kind of similar question with D. Milliner. Do you have a sense when he's going?
Again, the trainers and the doctors can tell you better than I could. He does some individual work and kind of go from there.
Todd, what have you seen for Gino these past 2 days so far?
Effort, he has a pretty good grasp of what they're trying to teach him, but when you go from phase 2 throwing against air, then coming practice and throwing against different defenses, as much as they put in over there, it's a different deal. It's an adjustment for both sides of the ball, but he's been positive, he's been accurate in a lot of things, especially in the individual drills, and they got to get the timing down. It's a real early process, but his spirit is strong, his information gathering is good, and he's gun-ho and he understands what it takes to lead this team.
Todd, you guys have looked at most of the top quarterbacks in this draft class, and obviously that's been out there. What do you think it's like for Gino to see that you guys are looking at other quarterbacks that you could draft?
I don't think it's anything. I don't think he can pay any mind to it. Just as if when he came in the league and there were other quarterbacks here, that's at every position. If you look at what we draft instead of worrying about what you can do, you're going to lose your spot. If you just focus on you and get better as a person, I don't think you worry about. There are going to be guys coming in every year. That's not just quarterback. That's every position.
Do you have any situations like that you remember as a player where you drafted someone in your position?
Ooh. When I played and signed as a free agent, there were a good 120 guys in camp. There were about 7 free safeties, so that in itself was hard because I'll start at about 6th or 5th string, so you got to kind of work your way up there, but not to my recollection. They drafted, there was a guy they drafted maybe in the 5th round during my tenure, but that probably was about it.
What are your impressions of Brandon Marshall? He made a nice catch on that number 24 guy out there today.
Brandon's a workhorse. He has a great attitude. He has a great work ethic, and I think the guys understand how to work, and he leads by example. And we got a lot of young wideouts, and they kind of gravitate towards him, and he's a great mentor. He's been outstanding for us so far as coming in shape, understand doing the right things, and getting everybody better. He brings a lot to the table that way.
Based on what you've seen from him over the years and just the sheer size, how much of a red zone threat do you think he could potentially be for you?
Well, he's always been a red zone threat. The good thing about Brandon is that he's been a threat all over the field. He's not just your typical big receiver. He has good feet. He has good hands. He knows when to play big. He knows when to play fast. So he understands the game. His mental capacity brings a lot to the ball game, so that'll help us out a lot.
Todd, what would you like to see out of Calvin Pace? He's a guy, like every year we think he's done, and he comes back, especially these last few years, he's kind of extended his career at his age and what you're going to ask of him. What would you like to see?
He can keep doing what he's doing. Calvin's been a great pro. He has a He doesn't. If you look at him on the hoof, he's a good-looking guy. He's very muscular. He's built. He keeps himself in shape. He understands what it takes to be a professional. He comes in shape every year. Every year you want to say a guy like that is done, but every year he's valuable to me. I think he's a very valuable guy. He does a lot of things well, and he understands the game, and he understands the professional part of it to keep his body together to do the things he needs to do. So, you know, I like Calvin the way he is.
He's done a lot, at least in the previous coaching staff. He's done a lot of the dirty jobs, the unsung things that maybe don't show up statistically. Would you ask him to be a jack of all trades as well? You think?
Yeah, I mean, at some point on defense, everybody's got to do the dirty job, whether it's one-on-one coverage or whether it's picking for somebody or whether it's dropping back in coverage, doing things you need to do. It's not just Calvin. It just seems to be that's how his career has been lately. But he does a lot of things well, and those guys are probably more appreciated in the locker room and in the coaching staff more than they are out in public. And Calvin does so many things well. He's a very bright guy. He's a very smart guy, and he's a very astute player. So I'm very happy with Calvin.
Talk about the incorporation of Eric Decker, or mentally how you think he would adjust if you do happen to get a wide receiver in the first round. We're talking about a guy who accumulated 1,000 yards receiving average with Peyton Manning when he was in Denver, and then being adjusted to being like the #1 target last year, and now having Brandon Marshall and potentially a layup.
I think they would embrace that. I mean, if you have three good receivers and you have a running game, that makes it hard for people to match up. Eric's just worried about winning ball games. He doesn't worry about who's coming in and who's doing what. He's secure with who he is and what the things he can do. So I'm confident that they'll embrace that guy and they'll bring him along if we happen to go that route.
How do you feel about your offensive line right now? You guys added some pieces and got some young guys from the last few drafts. How do you feel about where that's at?
Offensively, they don't get much credit playing two-hand touch football, but we hope that we got better. Offensive line comes into play more when you get in the pads. They're moving well. They're trying to understand the scheme. We have the potential to be more positive and get some more running yards, and hopefully we can block better in the passing game and give our quarterback time. So I'm happy with what we got right now.
Do you think, Todd, in Chan's scheme that Jason Morrow would be flexed out more? Gino had alluded to tight ends being flexed more in this offense, and not the most proficient blocker, at least hasn't been in college. Do you view him as a guy who would be flexed out more than he was a year ago?
Well, he's going to have to be a jack of all trades too. Just to say he's a flex tight end would not be giving him enough credit. In this league, if you're one way or the other, they're going to key on you. So he'll be versatile that way. He'll spread out some, and he'll be in the box as well.
How much do you enjoy the draft, Todd, and kind of putting the scouting hat on for these probably last couple of months and looking at players and going through the whole draft process? How much do you enjoy this?
Man, you enjoy it. You get used to it, as far as scouting guys and getting everybody's opinion and getting everybody's input and understanding, and hopefully there are guys there that you can take and help your team get better. And that part, it gets exciting closer to the week of the draft more than it does a week or two out when you still have to do the grunt work. Once you're finished everything and you're comfortable where you are, I think it gets exciting on Thursday morning.
Have you lobbied for players? I mean, the scouts are working on guys all year round. Coaches come in fairly late in the evaluation process. Have you had guys that you've liked throughout the last month or so that you made a push for here?
No, as a position coach, I used to lobby for players because I couldn't get enough DBs or enough guys on defense as a coordinator. But as you grow into it, you got to understand, as an NFL coach, all you get to see is college highlights. And you hear guys, but until you do film work on your own, then you get a good sense of who those guys are. I've learned not to lobby for guys because they may not be what you thought they were. So you just try to keep calm, and you just try to treat everybody fairly, and you weigh the good and the bad, and you try to take the best player.
So who's at the top of your draft board?
Right now, Bruce.
When we talked to Mike last week, he said you guys kind of all sat down together and looked at film and kind of learned how everyone looks at players, so you kind of have the same vision. What's the process been like with you and Mike? Both kind of getting to know each other and now going through this process and trying to learn how each other looks at players?
Oh, that's been great. We've been married right now, and we have a great relationship. Mike's outstanding. He's very diligent. about the things and going about things, and has his way, which I trust completely. And ironically, we see things the same way. Usually you have a couple of disagreements here and there, but we've been on the same page from day one, and that helps me out a great deal. I'm sure that helps him out a great deal. So looking at film, because he's a great football guy, he makes it easy for us to look at film and kind of see what we like and how we fit and who's what, and kind of balance things where he is.